Hey everyone, my name is David Dumber, the theme park evangelist. I just did my vlog of why you shouldn't celebrate Halloween, and this is going to sound contradictory, but the next vlog that I'm going to do is behind the scenes of the Haunted Mansion at Walt Disney World. Now, as you guys know, I'm a cast member at Walt Disney World, specifically at the Hollywood Studios Infinite and Beverage on Echo Lake, at Min and Bill's Dockside Diner, and Oasis Canteen. Should come visit me sometime. It's just the problem is I'm not there very often. So my work location set up a behind the scenes tour at the Haunted Mansion in Magic Kingdom last Thursday, whatever date that was again. I was up by 4 in the morning. I was at the Magic Kingdom by 6. Boarded a bus, went through the Utilidors, came up over on the other side of Fantasyland, over by It's a Small World and Peter Pan's Flight. And we went and hung out in front of the Haunted Mansion. We had 2 butlers come meet us with safety vests because they didn't want us to get separated or whatever. So we put the safety vests on. We came in the ride. It's very quiet, very dark, other than you could hear Tony J's voice like constantly talking. It's kind of weird. So we were standing there. We had to do our normal lockdown procedure, not telling you how that's done. But that takes about 5-10 minutes to take care of that, just to make sure that the ride doesn't start up while we're walking through it. It's just something I've done for Tower of Terror myself. So this is my second behind-the-scenes tour that I've done since I've become a cast member. So, I'm walking through the hallway, and the lightning was still flashing. You just couldn't hear any thunder. But what really blows my mind is, not that there's lightning in the windows, even though this is another building behind the facade. Because basically, once you leave the queue line and get on the ride vehicle, you're leaving the facade, the brown building, and you're going into a ginormous green building behind it. You can't see it very well unless you're leaving the attraction. You turn around, you look, and you'll see it. As of right now, it's easy to see because Irma destroyed a lot of their trees that were blocking the view of it. They purposely made the facade as big as they did so you couldn't see it. Anyway, so, I'm walking down it, and I was surprised to find out that they use strobe lights to make the lightning effect work out, which is really cool considering there's absolutely no windows in the green building at all, just fake ones. But who would have ever guessed that? And they use something that kind of technology they would use in like Light Bright, if you've ever heard of that. So basically, when the strobe lights not only light up the windows on this side, it's also revealing the second picture underneath the first one you see. When lit up by a light, you can actually see what's underneath the main picture. And that's what's really cool about this technology. When we went to the library, I was surprised that the marble busts are not actually busts at all. In fact, I put my hand up to it. It's hollow. It's kind of weird because they let us touch it. So when you are standing at a distance or even sitting at a distance, it looks like they're moving with you. Well, just for the fun of it, I'm standing still and looking right at one of them. And I move my head to the left, it moved to the left. Then I moved my head to the right, it moved to the right. Then I moved it back and forth, and it was moving back and forth. But when I was standing still, it wasn't doing anything. They're using an optical illusion to make it look like that it's following your gaze as you're looking at it. It's kind of weird. Not to mention that most of those bookshelves or cases are fake. They're painted. Another fun fact, the chair that's in that room is designed to look like Donald Duck. And also they have an open book of Nightmare Before Christmas on the table. There's at least 5 references from Nightmare Before Christmas in the attraction alone. But why would anyone have known that unless you done a behind-the-scenes tour? So we went to the next room when the guy's doing this with the piano or organ is playing. It's a shadow. But if you look up to your right, up that way, you'll notice a 3D camera pointing down to project the image, which is really weird. So then you come up the staircase and or whatever, and you'll come into the room of staircases going everywhere and anywhere. And you're probably wondering, how on earth did they do that? Well, at least 75% of those, maybe 25% of those, are, more like 25% of those are real. They're just built to go anywhere. 75% of it is just a mirror you're looking at. There's a mirror right here, but it's so dirty you can't see it. It was done like that purposely. Now with the light off, you can't even see the mirror, and it basically reflects the real staircases and makes it look like there's more staircases than there actually are, which is so cool. And they told us in advance before we took into this next room, it was actually supposed to be an empty hallway at one point, but we did not want to put something in there because back when the original attraction opened, there wasn't anything there, but ever since the redone version, they decided to add something there. So they went to Walmart, well, more like Home Depot, Lowe's, Michael's, and they managed to get animatronic boxes with painted eyeballs on them. They're attached to these like wire-like things, and they're just moving around. You can't see it though because it's so dark. But to think that's what's there, and then also the ones with the eyeballs on the wall, they're just behind a scrim. The wall is just a scrim. That's all it is. Of course, the next room you come into is the endless hallway, the room about endless hallway. So they said, how would you like to walk down it? Because who would have ever guessed that was only 144 square feet? That's it. So, you know, I walked down it, and just as I expected, there is a scrim, and the candle is attached to some wires from the ceiling, and it's just kind of floating. And then there's a reflective glass wall behind it, and there's a light pointed at it to make it look like the hallway is longer than it actually is. So, yes, there is actually a way to get to the end of the hallway. And at one point, that suit of armor on the side of it was actually supposed to have a cast member in it, but to scare people, but Disney didn't think that was a good idea because there's already been too many people that are getting scared of the attraction itself. They decided not to do it. Then, of course, you come into the hallway with all the doors opening and closing, After, of course, you see the Raven and the guy trying to get out of the organ, so we'll do that first. The Raven is really weird. At one point, they are thinking about making the Raven the mascot of the attraction, because you can, because in the original attraction, he was everywhere. There's at least 5 Ravens, if I can remember correctly, and the Raven basically is just sitting there, and they figured that it would make sense for the Raven to be the narrator or the mascot because of the fact that it's the one creature that could get around quickly. But then they decided just to go with the ghostly voice that just sits in your chair, because there's 3 speakers in the chair near the top. But you should have known that. Another fun fact for you, Tony J recorded his script back in the 1970s for the attraction. They haven't changed the script since then. The script has been the same for the past 40 whatever years. And the other ironic part about the Raven is the fact that the cast members pet it every morning because they think that if they don't pet it, then it'll bring them bad luck and something terrible happen to the mansion, which is so stupid, you know? And also, the guy in the organ is just an animatronic arm opening, closing the organ. The organ and it's not actually known as a coffin, I'm so sorry. The coffin is also animatronic that's meant to move around, and it's also not a real coffin because if you look underneath it, there's nothing but flowers there. There's no base or anything to hold it. It's like, what is making this thing stand? I can't remember what's making it stand. Then, of course, the whole point of the doors, or how they did the hallway at the doors opening, closing, just machines right behind the doors. There's also peepholes in some of the doors because back during grad night, teenagers would like to get out of the vehicles or the Omnimover and horse around, so they would have cast members behind the doors watching them. Now, ever since then, they've no longer done that because they have cameras now on the ride. So, the old version of how they did it is still there, but they no longer use it. Of course, you come into the room of Madame Leota doing her seance. Of course, Madame Leota is suspended by wires, and there's that green light you'll notice is like moving around that looks like you're in an actual seance. That's just basically a green light behind the screen once again, creating that effect. And with the lights off, you can't see the camera, but with the lights on, you can. And you can't even see the effect. You can just see a green light moving around. It's kind of weird. Then you come up into the balcony that's overlooking the ballroom. What you're actually looking at in front of you is something called Pepper's Ghost, where everything is below you, but everything in front of you is just a mirror. It's reflective glass. Now, there are supposedly animatronic ghosts that are up on the ceiling somewhere, but as far as the ones on the floor, they're right below you. And they're in front of the reflective glass. Their reflection reflects onto the other side of the glass to make it appear like they're actually in there, moving around. It's kind of weird. I got to go downstairs myself and see where they kept the animatronics. They're constantly moving, even when the park is closed for the night. They still have it moving. I don't think they ever turn it off. Of course, you come to the attic. There's a lot of history behind the attic. Constance marrying a man, then dumping him, marrying the next man, murdering him. The second man got decapitated and also beheaded. He was the only one that did. And then I think she went back and killed off the first guy, and then she married a third guy, killed him. And every time she would marry a man, kill him, there was a birdcage right next to the portrait to symbolize she flew the coop. The fifth guy was her favorite because he was rich. So basically, once she married him and got all his money, she killed him off, and now she's all happy. But then she's not, because you saw the whole murder. So she throws you out the attic window, metaphorically. Basically, the chair goes backwards, so you can't see what's coming, because she doesn't want you. She wants to cover up everything that she did. Well, of course, because of the fact that you got thrown out the window, you land on the ground, you die in the graveyard. How ironic. And you become one of the ghosts. So the ghosts are all friendly and happy with you now. They're like, oh look, they're ghosts now. You're the 1,000th ghost. They're no longer trying to scare you because they got what they wanted. They got you to be 1,000th ghost. So, other than the pop-up ghosts that come out by air pressure, because that's how they go up and down. They're very friendly to you, and of course the animatronics in the graveyard, basically animatronics behind a scrim once again with lights pointing at them. Fun fact, the 5 marble busts in the graveyard are designed to look just like the Imagineers behind the ride, one of them being Mark Davis. I just don't remember which one he is. And I don't remember who sang the soundtrack for the ride, but in the long run, it's a very cool ride. I think they were definitely very proud of the fact that they were they managed to get technology that would take your physical body and reflect it into the glass where you can see the not the Hatbox Ghost, one of the hitchhiker ghosts doing stuff with you to make it look like you're actually there with them. They said this is definitely brand new for them. Overall, my favorite parts about the mansion, the ballroom, that's, classic. Learning about the attic scene was also very, very interesting. More about it than I ever had known. The endless hallway definitely did not surprise me, but also did. The marble bust of the hallway, definitely, or like in the library right off the bat, was definitely the most mind-blowing thing I had seen. And not to mention learning how they did the very last scene of the ride. So if you have any questions or comments about how the ride was done, please feel free to leave it in the comment section below. I am really excited about the next backstage tour. There's a possibility it's either going to be Rock and Roller Coaster, Toy Story Midway Mania, which is now called Toy Story Mania now, or the possibility that we might do Spaceship Earth. But that's supposed to be in the month of November, which is just around the corner, literally. Anyways, guys, I really enjoy this. Have a great night, and always remember, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Peace out.